we like this shift from the busyness of before to what's really dropped in with a much bigger, stronger vision.
Yeah, nobody really wants to be a part of chaos.
Yeah.
And a lot of we teach 5 phases of business growth. Phase 1 is when it's all you're the solopreneur, you're doing everything, and so it's chaotic. Phase 2 is you've got 1 or 2 employees, and you're trying to do everything. They're trying to do everything. You're stepping on top of each other. We call that first one is startup. Second one is scale. You're trying to get beyond the initial vision. The third phase is sustainability. And that's when you're working on your SOPs. That's when we're working on your job descriptions, your infrastructure development, your finances, your revenues versus your profits. And in that season, most people quit in that season because the season they want to get to is 4. Phase 4 is where you are now a team managed company of peace and profit.
Hello, my extraordinary women friends. Are you starting to get a few glimpses of spring in the midst of your winter days? I hope so. As I'm recording this, it's a 60-degree day here following a weekend of snowstorms. I'm definitely longing for spring, although I know we are not there quite yet. In March, I've got a new online training coming up, Simplify to Multiply, More Time and Dollars in Your Business, designed for all you heart-centered women CEOs who seek not only to grow your business, but to transform it into a source of joy and fulfillment. If you've been yearning to fall back in love with your business, to lead with vision and courage, and to embrace simplicity for greater prosperity, this is your invitation to join us. Don't miss this opportunity to rise, thrive, and create more time and more dollars and more joy in your business. For more details, jump out to CamiGellner.com/events. And as our guest would say today, it's all about peace and profits. Yes, I'm excited to introduce you to Staci Wallace, who is going to be sharing her wisdom around how you can achieve a life of peace and profits. Staci's an 8-time author, she's a speaker, and she brings over 3 decades of corporate and entrepreneurial excellence. Her mission? To empower faith-based CEOs to create purpose-driven, profitable ventures that leave a lasting legacy. With her growth model, Staci has guided thousands towards scaling their businesses while maintaining the core values of love, family, and impactful legacy. Love these. Love, family, and impactful legacy. So aligned. Today, we dive into the culture of peace and profits, uncovering how entrepreneurs can build successful, purpose-driven lives and businesses. Join us as Staci shares her wisdom on achieving professional success without sacrificing personal fulfillment and social responsibility. Let's meet Staci Wallace. Well, welcome to Extraordinary Women Radio, Staci. It's so great to have you here today.
I am so excited to be here. It is going to be a good one.
Yeah. So where are you joining us from today?
I am actually over in East Texas, just about 45 miles of Tyler, Texas, in a town of 800.
Oh, that's a tiny little town, isn't it? I grew up in a town about that size.
We're moving. We got a stoplight.
That's awesome. That's so awesome.
I'm from a very, very large city, so we absolutely love it. We've got 62 acres, and we're building a beautiful experience out here with our nonprofit organization and our for-profit. So,
I can't wait to hear about that. Yeah, I totally can't wait to hear about it. I grew up in a small town myself, of about that size, and I love the small town communities. And I've still just friends, dearest friends from the people that I grew up with. So I love that. I love it, love it, love it. Where did you, when you moved from a larger city, where did you move from?
Well, we've actually been all over. I've moved about 47 times.
Wow.
And so we've started a lot of companies and scaled companies and helped them grow into the hundreds of millions. And with that comes mergers, acquisitions, and transferring. And so we moved to Texas from Washington State. But when we moved to Texas, we moved to a town called Frisco, which is one of the fastest growing cities in America.
Right by Dallas.
And, right by Dallas. And then we moved out of Frisco in 2021. And we have never looked back. We absolutely love it.
Excellent. I love it. I love it. So good. So tell us about your journey because you've had a really interesting journey, interesting stories to share of where you've been in the world and what, how you come to doing what you're doing today. So tell us a bit of that journey.
Well, I'm so blessed because what we do as a company fueled by fire is we help successful 7 to 9 figure faith-based CEOs create peace and profits.
Yeah.
And
Love
so
your peace and profits.
yeah. So our my background in corporate America and in sales and marketing is I've been blessed to build massive companies into the hundreds of millions. One company my brother started with my husband in the game room of their house went to a $1.2 billion market cap.
Wow.
And so we were blessed to see that while we've done some amazing things, bigger is not always better. It doesn't
Yeah.
mean that you have more peace, and peace is the one thing, it's the one commodity money can't buy,
Yeah.
along with love, joy, patience, kindness. And so, having been blessed since I was 18 years old to be successful in business, I grew quickly to learn that there's something beyond success and that is the hunger for significance. And so growing up as a basketball player and I was picked for the junior Olympic basketball team. And then I became nominated for new female vocalist of the year in country music and sang at the Olympics and traveled with Zig Ziglar for 12 years and on stage with 5 US presidents. I rattle all that off because I think what God did with me is he let me see what's on the other side of success so I could identify that it just doesn't make you happy.
Love
And
it.
that I could be in a place here now that I'm 54 years old, that I could be in the marketplace, still young enough to relate and be scaling massive companies, but not so old that I can't relate to the grind of what it means to be in beast mode.
Right.
And so what we do and all of that tenure and the successes and the failures and went through divorce when I was a country music singer at 21 years old, went through suicidal depression and brokenness. And I didn't like women for 15 years because they were all mean and unfaithful. But what I didn't realize was all of the setbacks of my life were a setup of a way that God wanted to use me in my life to bring about change to the planet.
Mm.
And I'm so blessed with our nonprofit M Women. We help women just like me, just like the girl I was when I was 21, 22 years old, come out of suicidal depression, anxiety, trafficking,
Mm.
abuse, molestation, and helping women really move into a place of strength and freedom and being able to find their place in the marketplace. And then on our for profit side, obviously using the success that we've had in business to help leaders scale massive vision that gives back through extravagant generosity. And really,
Mm.
that's part of the pathway to peace and profits.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. I so love it. And it's the give back, the change that you create, the be able to uplift of others. It's also aligned to what I believe in. So I love what you're doing. I think it's really beautiful. Totally beautiful. Let's dig more into this, the peace and profits. The peace and profit of how you bring that to life. What does that mean to you? I mean, I often have been talking in my business about time prosperity and wealth prosperity because I believe this, as like you, it's not all about the dollars at the end of the day. It's about the life that we're creating. It's about the businesses that we love and the impact that we can make. So what are some of the fundamentals of building a business with peace and profit?
Well, I can only speak to what's worked for me. And I
Hmm.
know there's a lot of people that have a lot of ideas and paths to what they consider to be freedom. For me, I've been married for 27 years. My husband and I, we basically work within 6 feet of each other 24 hours a day. We run this movement together. He's the COO, I'm the CEO. Our children are in it at 23 and 24 years old, and they are beautiful entrepreneurs, but utilizing their giftings inside of what we do. And our successes in the past, they were successes for us, but they didn't necessarily mean legacy wealth and generational impact. A lot of times our children are like, Mom and Dad, I don't want to do what you do. I don't like
Hmm.
the way you work. I don't believe in what you believe in. And we found that the more we built towards a life of peace,
Mhm.
versus things and profits, the more it became magnetic, not only to our
Ooh,
children, but to our staff, to our movement, to people going, you know what, I can go anywhere to figure out how to make money. But to
yeah.
have peace and profits, that's a rare
Yeah,
combination.
totally.
And there are some things that, like every morning I wake up, people always ask me on interviews, what is the one thing that you would say has been the biggest game changer? And while there's a lot of things, one thing that has set me and my family up for transcendent peace is I wake up every day and before I open up my eyes, before I put my feet on the floor, I just whisper, "Good morning, Holy Spirit. What would you have of me today?" Now, for me, that's my faith. I believe in God and I believe in Jesus and the Holy Spirit. So somebody else that might be something different,
Yeah.
but I'm connected to whom I believe is the creator of all creators. And
Mhm.
by saying, I'm going to put my agenda secondary to your agenda, I'm going to put my way secondary to your way. There's days I wake up as a CEO and I might have back to back to back calls on my 24. And if I hear drop everything and take a nap, I know he knows what I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I
So
think that,
listening to that wisdom that is there for you to tap into. And I think it's so important. And it's did you always have that ability to listen to that wisdom that was there? Um,
no.
or did you, yeah, because I can go back to
Yeah.
times where I certainly did not listen to my inner wisdom, the wisdom that was there for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I love that that's how you start your day.
Yeah, it's so peaceful. This morning, I actually, and that's, I teach people how to go into that state.
Hmm.
And we call it a state of God consciousness, not human consciousness, not subconsciousness, but really tapping into what does God want of my life today? And so, teaching that to other people when you're busy and you haven't practiced it, it's like you stop and you just hear noise.
Right.
We
Right.
have people that come out to our property and pay a lot of money to go through a practice we call the bench. And these benches that we have on our 62 acres are designated benches of prayer and meditation where people are
Mm,
able, and then of course we do coaching and we work with their business growth strategies and all that. But before we go into business growth strategies, we ask them to go out and sometimes for an hour, sometimes for 7 hours, depends on the person, to help them get truly quiet
mm.
so that we can
I
not tap into their consciousness, but something bigger.
so I bring retreats into my practice as well
Mhm.
with my horses.
Oh, beautiful.
So right, and so I do equine vision journey retreats with my entrepreneurial clients and helping them slow down,
Love
turn
it.
off the noise, and really start to just drop into the pace of a horse. Right, my horses live a pretty peaceful, chill life here on our space, and that ability to be able to turn off that outside noise,
Mhm.
out in nature,
Yeah.
just as your benches are doing. It's like that, it's that space of being able to just really drop into a deeper knowing.
Yeah. And even
So,
to get beyond our ego, we have a
yeah.
number of clients that are older and we have a lot of clients that are younger. We've got 23-year-olds that have scaled from bankruptcy to 9 months to over 8 figures, $13 million in our program. That is speed, that it could be chaos, but it certainly is movement that they're not used to. So when we brought one of them out here, they were in a state of, what are we going to do to go to the next level? We want to take it now to 30 million. And they come out wanting to know what is the plan, because we always teach a dream without a plan is nothing but wishful thinking. I said the plan today is you're going to go sit on that bench and you're going to listen
Mm,
before we do our plan. Let's find out if there's not a bigger plan. And I had them, it was a very intentional amount of time, and they came back when they came back up to our cabin, and they said, I could have sat down there for hours. I was getting so much, but it took a little bit of time, about 15 minutes, for them to be able to drop into that listening state.
mhm,
And that
mhm,
place, like you do with your horses,
mhm.
there's something about, people can go to India and sit with a monk in a monastery. There's very few places like what you have, what we have here, where there is a cultivation of peace
Yeah.
that helps people really identify what matters most. What are the
And
core values?
it's so needed in our world
Mm.
right now. More peace in our world of you just think of how we are constantly hit with noise day after day
Yeah.
after day, all day long. We are hit with so much noise from, outside sources, and then even what goes on in our minds,
Hmm.
all the noise that's there. And so to kind of clear that out, to make that white space, to be able to even feel in our bodies
Yeah,
what's there to be received, is
absolutely.
such a gift.
It is, and to share it with others once you identify how to get there. We do an event every year called Perspective, and it's a
Mhm,
different location. It's always a different perspective, and it gives people, particularly people who are scaling big vision, it
mhm,
gives them an opportunity to get out of their mundane operations and get into a
mhm,
place where they are being given an opportunity to escape their normal. We call it boom, break out of mediocrity, break
mm,
out of what's normal for you so that you can hopefully, like the sonic boom, break through the pressure of where you're at.
mm.
A sonic boom would not be able to take place if there was not pent up pressure in the atmosphere. But it's
Yeah,
because of the pressure that when it penetrates at Mach speed, then it is able to create the boom, the sonic boom. And really, when a leader does that, it impacts their family, it
yeah.
impacts their finances, it impacts their relationships. And my husband and I, that's why we stepped out of what we were doing in 2017. We gave away all of our money. We felt like this was a leading of God, all of our money to the poor, and use that money to feed the poor, to clothe the naked. And 2.5 years, we went outside of the market in our highest income earning season of our lives. But we knew that there was a boom that we needed to happen in us, that there
Yeah.
was something beyond the economy, something beyond the political system, something beyond the current church system, something beyond the medical system that we felt like God was wanting us to understand. And in that season, the boom that took place for us changed our life forever, gave us an understanding that we are here to produce wealth so that we can be conduits of generosity, so that we can let our light shine. And it radically shifted the way we do life and business now.
Mm.
Everything we do has the filter. Does this create both peace and profits?
Yeah. And so that's where your kids have gotten interested in what you do now, because you've made that shift and they're like, "Oh, we like this.
Right.
We like this shift from the busyness of before to what's
Yeah.
really dropped in with a much bigger, stronger vision."
Yeah, nobody really wants to be a part of chaos.
Yeah.
And a lot of we teach 5 phases of business growth. Phase one is when it's all you, you're the solopreneur, you're doing everything, and so it's chaotic.
Mhm.
Phase two is you've got one or two employees and you're trying to do everything. They're trying to do everything. You're stepping on top of each other. We call that first one is startup, second one is scale. You're trying to get beyond the initial vision. The third phase is sustainability, and that's when you're working on your SOPs. That's when we're working on your job descriptions, your infrastructure development, your finances, your revenues versus your profits. And in that season, most people quit in that season because the season they want to get to is four. Phase four is where you are now a team managed company of peace and profits. And what that means is that you're only working with your managers in phase four. You don't have to do, you're not in the
You're
weeds.
not
You're not
down
having
in
to
the
do all
bottom
the
of it
things.
all. Yeah.
And then phase five is really legacy. That's where you have either built it to where you can scale to sale, or it is to a place where you can step away, take a board position, but it runs without you. You can focus on nonprofit, another company, real estate. And when we look at those 5 phases of growth, most people stay in 1 to 3, and we call that the beast mode. And when you're in the beast mode, you're never really fulfilling God's best mode for your life, because the best mode, it's magnetic. Your children want to be a part of it. Your team is like, I want to show up for it. And until you get to that, it's really it's repulsive, it's repelling. You'll hear, and I heard it too, in especially in phases 2 and 3. Oh, I don't want to be a part of that. It's just chaos. Why do y'all work all the time? Because they aren't see or weren't seeing the fruit of the labor. They just saw the labor.
Mhm.
But when you get to a team managed company, you begin to see that there is a way that creates both peace and profits. And it's what your family, what your legacy, what your in laws say, wow, that's magnetic. I want to be a part of that.
Cool. That's beautiful. Really beautiful. So, tell us a little bit more about, what's been your biggest learning, your biggest lesson that you've had over the last few years?
I would say, even right now with our clients, it's getting past our ego
Hmm.
and getting into a place where we are no longer the hero, but we make others the hero. So I think in scale, you are wanting to prove yourself, you're wanting to prove your model, you're wanting to prove your coaching, you're wanting to prove your products, your infrastructure. And really, even in marketing, I think the biggest leap we took when we took ourselves out of being the hero in our story, and our clients or those that we were doing what we were doing for, they became the hero of the story.
Mm, that's
We
beautiful.
simply became the guide. And if you've never read the book, Building a Brand, a Story Brand by, I think it's Donald Miller, it's a
Hmm.
phenomenal book that teaches you the process of getting yourself out of the way enough that you really can become the source of hope, help, and healing for others. Um,
Hmm.
I wrote a book called Fueled by Fire, which is where our trademark and our movement, all of it comes from. And inside of that book, I talk about how we carry an ethos or a fragrance when we walk into a room.
Hmm.
And when we walk into a room, the fragrance should be a sweet smelling fragrance of attraction. I don't know if you remember the cartoon of Pepe Le Pew
Yeah, totally.
following you. And he'd follow that other skunk, and it would be like, oh, I want what you've got, right?
Right.
Um, a lot of times, our fragrance is not attractive.
Yeah.
And so we're trying to paint it with funnels, and we're trying to paint it with branding, and we're trying to, but really, we got to go deeper.
Totally agree with
Is
that.
our story magnetic?
Yeah. Yeah. How we resonate matters. And it's that energy of attraction that you're talking about, and it's inner, it comes from inside, and being true to who we are,
Mhm.
and really aligning to the work that we're meant to be doing and putting out into the world. So I so agree with that, and I love your metaphor with Pepe Le
Pepe
Pew.
Le
So
Pew.
yeah.
You
We
have to
can
be
all
old
see it.
for that cartoon. I don't know if that
Yeah.
cartoon is still on.
Yeah, I don't know if it is either, but I'm old enough that I know exactly
There
what
you
you
go.
mean.
Okay,
So
good.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So cool, cool, cool. So where can people learn more about you and your business?
They can go to staciwallace.com, StaciWallace. I'm sure you'll put it in the show notes. StaciWallace.com, and everything is there. But what I'd love to do is invite, we do something called the Kingdom Alliance Wealth Mastery course. And for 5 days, I teach for free at the highest level of showing people. I take them through our signature growth method, where I show how to move through those 5 stages of growth, what infrastructure you need to have in each phase. And it's absolutely free. We're a very high ticket program. So I know that not everybody's going to be able to afford what we do, but what we feel part of our secret sauce is the more we give, the
Mhm.
more we attract the right people into our programs. And so you can go to fbfchallenge.com, sign up. We've got one coming up, but fbfchallenge.com, and sign up for that free 5 day wealth mastery course, where we teach some of these things that lead to that attraction, like Pepe Le Pew.
I love it. So good, so good. Okay, and so the final question I always ask is what are three pearls of wisdom you'd like to leave with us today?
Three pearls of wisdom, I would say number one, and I'm just going to speak to what works for me. My number
Right.
one is to keep the main thing the main thing. Our North Star is to reflect God daily in the marketplace. In our company, we have tried it many other ways, and we have found that that is the way to both peace and profits, to reflect God's nature in the marketplace every day. Number two is wake up every day and make Him first. Good morning, God. What would you have of me today? There is something I can't even say other than to say it's supernatural that happens when you align yourself with God in the things that matter most to you. If you can make matter most to you what matters most to him, suddenly you move from constantly having to strive into moving into a flow of abundance. And then the third one I would say is seek to understand, not be
Mhm.
understood.
Yes.
In my relationships, I've found that that's the secret to a 27-year marriage. The secret to having incredible relationships with our staff, with our family, is give up your right to be right and seek to understand, not always to be understood.
So good. And I love how spirit is such an important piece for you. And I always tell people, spirit however you spirit. Follow
Mhm.
your heart and follow the spirit however you're called. And I think when we bring that into our businesses, it truly lets us lead businesses that are different. And that's going
Mhm.
to, as you say, bring us more peace into our peace and profit alongside of it. So I love it. Thank you for joining us today, Staci. It's been a
Thank
pleasure
you so
meeting you.
much. I appreciate it.